Welcome back, Kara Hetlinger. We are just meeting here to talk about final exams, and being that I will not be in-house for the final exams, I want to make sure that those within our department understand the procedure so that no one contacts me all frantic and says, Russ McBride, there's a problem with the final, you're fired, and I'll be like, I'm not fired, they're fired. So yeah, let's talk about final exams. The first part we need to talk about is Part A. And we have already began talking about this in our last meeting. And you guys can look at my calendar on the side. And you can see that I've divided Part A into 4 days because I am already done my course and I'm trying to kill time. Or because we have a dysfunctional exam schedule, and instead of having final exams begin a week earlier and have a day for Part A, like on the diploma, we have to fit Part A into our classes. But Part A, if it mirrors the diploma, is a 2.5 to 3 hour times 2, so 5 to 6 hour process. We have 78-minute classes. So how do we make that work? Well, I have my Part A, Assignment 1 in Dash 1, split over the days of the 10th and the 11th. So what they're going to do on the 10th is they're going to do the interpretation of the source, and then on the 11th they can fix up their interpretation and then do relationship. And obviously, huge red flag, the exam is not as secure as it needs to be. So what stops them from going home and talking to others about the sources? Nothing stops them. So the only other solution that I could come up with is to reduce this down to a 78-minute activity. I would have to, and I've done this in the past, say that we're going to have a set of 3 sources, because if you have less than 3, your relationship paragraph is going to be so limited. Here's a set of 3. You have to interpret 2 of them and then do a relationship. So if you, as a classroom teacher, think that you just cannot see how 2 days is keeping in the spirit of the security of the exam, then the only other option is to do it in 1 day. But they cannot, even though it's a 60-minute activity, let's not forget that it is meant to be a 60-minute activity, not a 2-hour activity. But being that now on the diploma every student gets the full 2 hours if need be, then to cram it into 78 minutes and to expect the same quality of work, especially in a final assessment, we're not setting them up for success. So I would support you if you went the other direction, but having said that, you will probably get blowback from your students saying, well, how come the other class gets 2 days? So I would say ideally, split it up into 2 days for the Dash 1, Assignment 1. And 1 day they can do the interpretation, the next day they can do relationship. Even if it is a document that they own, we can see if they've made edits. What I'm going to get them to do at the end of the day is print it off, and then the next day they just get another printout. My problem is on the 11th, I'm going to be in 3 different classrooms because they're going to have the diploma in here, and that might be the case on the 10th as well. That English diploma, and then the 11th social will be in here. Sean's already told me that I'm going to be a great wanderer in these days, and I said, well, Sean, I have my Part A during these days, so it's going to take the kids 10 minutes to log in, it's going to take them 10 minutes at the end of class to print. Now I have to have it over 2 days, if you follow me. Or, other way, if I'm running around the school with carts and they're in exam mode, they're still going to lose time at the beginning of class as I'm getting there and handing out exams. So I don't think that there's a functional way for me to give it in 1 day. I would recommend that you do it in 2. If you need access on where to find these shared resources, again, if you go in-house to the P drive, and I know that people among us, I won't mention names, Ben Muser hates the P drive, but here's the P drive. So social studies department files, and you go to social studies.
What don't you like about it, Ben?
It's just, there's so much stuff here. You could spend, Dean said this too, you could spend a whole Sunday at WCHS looking for stuff and
come home with nothing.
Come home with nothing. But what I'm trying to get you to have there is an experience like being in my class. Because that's like listening to me teach. So then we go to the P drive, teacher drive, and then social studies. And within social studies, you'll see the secured Part A. And then here are your grade assignments, and then you can go there and you have lots of different options. Now, if for Part A, you look at the options and you're like, you know what, I think I have a better option, aka I think I'm smarter than Russ McBride, then you know what, you probably are, because I've had lots of concussion issues. So just share with me what you think your Part A will look like, And feel free to do that, but I may tell you in feedback that maybe it doesn't function like you might think it's going to. But definitely if these 10 versions that I've made for you aren't good enough, if you're like, you know what, I need something better because I'm special, then make your own, but you have to share it with me. If you're pushing out a final exam that I haven't seen, then I am going to throw you under a bus. Not metaphorically, this is a literal thing that'll happen. Which is a horrible story to share with kids, because I used to say that phrase in class, Ben, and I had a student that was hit by a bus, and I stopped saying that phrase in class after that. She was a great student. She's a tattoo artist now. This is getting off topic. That's part A. Part B is the essay. And again, I have it split in 2 days. And you will notice that before my part A and before my part B, I have a day set just for review. So even though my students have showed me in grade 10 that they know both assignments, and I would say at above the grade level expectation, I'm going to assume that they're going to forget everything over Christmas, and I need to go over the process again. So I have time scheduled into January before my part A and before my second part of my part A A2, to review those steps. The last thing I need to mention about part A is definitely book Chromebooks early. Share with me which version you're going to use. Share with your other grade mates which version you're going to use. So if Cheryl and Kara are both teaching Social 21, they need to have a conversation. This is the day or days I'm doing these assignments. These are the assignments I'm having. Do I think that students are going to talk to each other about assignments? Maybe, but it's more just encouraging collaboration. We're a family, keeping everything comfortable, that kind of stuff. So, good news. I don't have to talk to anybody, right? Nobody has a 10-1, so I just have to talk to myself, and that's a very organic thing.
Karen and I have done this in the past. If, let's say, in class, I've already given 4 A1 assignments.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Do I have to necessarily give an A1? Could I just do an A2 with the final exam, or do they have to have...
When was your last A1 assignment before January then? How long's it been?
We just did one yesterday. I'm not saying I'm not going to do another one.
I would say if I was doing a final A1 assignment in December, I would like that to be sold to the kids as this is a final exam. So you've done 4 21s?
No, I'm just saying if. I'm just saying in the past. Like, let's say...
I would say that the kids need to show you at the end of the course that now they get it, we need a final exam. It needs to be presented to them as a final exam, because otherwise they were expecting to have this final time to show you that they get it, and we shouldn't take that opportunity away. Sir, yes, sir.
I have 2 then.
Jumping to dash 2 with 3 written assignments at the 20 dash level, am I taking then 2 weeks?
No, I hope not, because the A1 in assignment 2 is meant to be a 20-minute activity, right?
Yeah, that'll be in a period.
So 20 minutes, you can definitely get that done in a period, and I would argue you should be able to get that done and something else, right? So even double time, that's 20 to 25 minutes, that's 50 minutes, so we definitely can get that done. You could probably even, during that day, review what A1 looks like and then teach A1. Now, skipping ahead to A2, that's a 40 to 45 minute activity. 40 times 2 is 80. 80 sounds like 78. They can get that done in one day, especially if the 3 sources, maybe you haven't showed them exactly those 3 sources going in, but it's not going to be like, oh man, we've never seen anything like that before. So I would say the A2 is a day, and I would say that A3 is a day.
Even for the...
so that's 3 days.
Even for the...
Not 2 weeks. Even for...
Even for the...
multiple choice.
No, the reflection and in the A2. So they do in the interpretation.
Yeah, because the A2 assignment is a 40 to 45 minute assignment. Maybe I'm going to talk to them generally about the second question, so they have something prepared going in. That makes up for the 12 minutes that they're not getting. So being that I've given them, not here's the 3 sources, but I've given them some, together we've kind of prepped as I reviewed the assignment before we actually have the test. I prepped kind of like, these are themes to expect, then we can sell it, you've had your double time. Now if you have a student in class that legitimately always takes every second, put them in accommodations and then they can get 2 hours if need be. But the majority of your students should be able to get that done. All your students should be able to get that done in a 78-minute class if you've talked about the general themes to expect beforehand. It's a 40-minute to 45-minute activity, right?
They get so
Them
Obi-Wan.
analyzing 3 sources.
You know.
On the diploma,
And an interpretation.
on the
is
diploma, they have to
45
do
minutes.
all 3 without double time in 2.5 hours. If they get double time, they get 5 hours, right?
Yeah, but that's 2.5 hours compared to 80 minutes.
But we're doing times 3 classes.
My 30-2
80 times 3 is 240
Oh,
minutes.
3 classes for all the assignments.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And now they have unlimited time. I did 1 and 3 in one class, always.
Yeah.
I haven't done that for about 5
Yeah.
years now, but yeah.
And Monica used to do, like, she would do, in -1, she would do multiple choice and the essay in one class. So what I'm saying is, A1, you could probably teach it and test it in one class. A2, maybe I teach it before, the day before,
Oh, I
and I
understand.
introduce general themes, and I test in one class, and the same thing with A3. So if I know that my A3 source is going to be about conscription, maybe I talk about 3 things about the general thing the day before, and conscription's one of them. So if somebody challenges you on it, you can say, well, we've talked about this just, yesterday when we reviewed the process. Or if you have a kid that is a very slow writer, put them in accommodations.
And then in the -2, 3 or 4 kids missed that day before the test.
Yeah.
They missed all that preamble, and then they come in and they sit there and stare, and I say, well, hey, well, you weren't here yesterday, and I put it on Google Classroom, you didn't look at that. Anyway, it's the world we live in.
Yeah, but now you're into tier 3, 4 stuff that's beyond our scope, right? We can't,
What's the duration on the A1 for the 10 ones?
the
Is that
A1,
longer?
yeah, it's a different assignment, right? It's a
Yeah.
60-minute assignment
Okay.
for the 10 ones. So 60 times 2 is 120.
6 months, I spent 3 days, just spent 3 days on it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
They have no concept.
Because the diploma in -2 is a 2.5-hour diploma, in -3 it's a 3-hour diploma. And in -3 you'll have lots of students take 6. In -2 you might have some take 5, and that's the max. But a lot of students in -2 will be done after 2 to 4 hours.
6, then realistically, we have to allow them.
So in summary, Part A, there's Part A's on there, on the P drive, but feel free to come up with your own set. But if you do, show them to me, and also make sure that others teaching the same assignment know what you're doing. Aside from that, I would say it's important now to set those dates and start telling your kids when those dates are. Maybe communicate them through Google Classroom as well. These are the dates of our Part A, so that you don't have somebody later saying, well, I didn't know Part A was on January 10th, 11th, 13th, and 14th. I'll be like, I literally started talking about that at the end of November. So have them set and book the Chromebooks now, because as we know, in January, Chromebooks are going to be a very limited resource.
Are we getting the new ones ready?
They've been talking about it for months. I will believe it when I see it. I don't have faith
Do you have a
in
makeup day there?
So,
yeah, we have a makeup day for all missed exams at the end of exam week, right?
Okay.
So I don't have a makeup day for Part A. I have a makeup day for Part A and Part B, and that's at the end of exam week. Because if I have a part of my schedule leading up to the 19th as a makeup day, well, what do I do with the 95% of my kids that didn't miss a part? What are they doing that day?
Yeah, fair enough.
And how am I going to give the 5% that need a makeup a quiet room? So we have a makeup day scheduled into the exam week. That's their makeup day.
we may get some flack from other teachers who don't want you to book for more than 2 days in a row, right?
Chromebooks? Yeah, so you might have to book
So-
more than one cart.
Yeah, mix them up a bit.
Yeah. And ideally, soon, Sean tells me humanities teachers will have their own cart. But again, we can't book the future based upon a promise. Promises aren't always in place when they're supposed to be. LRT going to Millwoods. So that's Part A. Any questions about Part A? So if you happen to have students that miss Part A, then they have to set up with you when during the exam week that they're going to be writing that.
You give them a
Same
different
number of
assignment
days?
then?
I would absolutely 100% give them a different assignment. Otherwise, you're putting them at an advantage writing the same test. They can talk to people in the class and say, "Oh, what was on it? Oh, we're talking about should the government use conscription? Oh, I'm going to spend a week now preparing for that." So I would say they have to have a different one. Absolutely, they would have to. The other part of the exam is part B, that's multiple choice. Sean has already sent out like a draft, but we don't have an actual date yet for, this is the definitive date for our part B. But part B, multiple choice, unlike last year when we had it in class, no doubt we'll be back in the gym. For the part B, I have shared out the part B exams, the multiple choice exams with you, digital copies. Physical copies, some have been photocopied in the staff workroom, in the back in the little closet there. You need to get your own copies. I'm not making 80 copies and having them ready for you. You need to make sure that you have enough. And I would say take care of that sooner than later. Photocopiers could break down. So you need to have your exams in place. We have created a department exam, but you need to make sure that you have your 40, 45, whatever copies. I need 80 copies. I need to make sure I have those 80 copies. The answer keys are in there as well. On the day of the exam, we have to share those answer keys around because we're all going to need them. Sorry?
They shared the dates for all of those parties on it.
I saw in a draft. I didn't see a.
She said
She
the final
sent
was
the
yesterday.
final.
Did they send? Yeah, I get a lot of emails.
27th is social 20th.
Yeah.
Hey, well, wouldn't it actually, I'm not even gonna.
So yeah, I'm at 73,000, and I got 38,000 unread emails I need to get to. So I'll probably catch up to where you guys already
How much time
understand.
they give to do the multiple choice part B? They give 3 hours, 2 hours?
Like on the diploma,
On the exam day?
like our exam in house. Let's say they start at 9, then I would say that they would have till 11:30. So it's 2 hours plus a half.
Would it
Are you saying
almost
that's not
make
enough
sense to
time?
do some of your writing during exam week and do the multiple choice in class?
Well, the difficulty with that is we have one shared multiple choice test, and unless we're all writing the same test in the same block, then it doesn't work.
And I, who have 45 papers times whatever.
Yeah. I really want to get those papers marked.
Yeah, you're 80
and-
papers.
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not marking those in 2 days.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
But, so back to the multiple choice.
Makes sense.
It's your responsibility for the morning or afternoon of when your multiple choice exam is to have those multiple choice exams in place in the gym, have them laid out. It's your responsibility as a classroom teacher to take attendance, who isn't there. It's your responsibility to attempt to make contact with homes of kids that didn't show up for Part B. Say, okay, Joey, you're not here. You have until 10 o'clock to get in. They have that hour to get in. You can also, after you've made that contact and nobody's answering, you can forward those names to their grade counselor. And we cannot have exams sitting in the gym and not be secured. So if you've set up your exams and you're going to leave and like go grab coffee or something, the gym cannot be unlocked. At no time can exams be left. If exams are left and they're accessible by kids and there's been a breakdown in supervision, that's a cardinal sin. Because basically you've just ruined the security of the exam that has taken us probably 100 hours to
So
create.
everything's back to normal then in terms of it's all in the.
Yeah, unless they change their mind because
This is different.
by January.
This is different though than the last time, right? Because
This is different than during COVID, but
no,
You've always been in the gym.
no, I don't mean that.
Oh, yeah.
I just mean that like it's different that like usually you had them printed out and then somebody took them.
yeah,
all to
I
the
used to
gym.
print out
Yeah,
all of
and
them,
then-
but then,
Is
I
there
had
still
more free
staff-
time.
Is there still staff supervision
Yes,
scheduled?
yeah,
But, so even though the staff supervision schedule for the grade 9 PAT is these 3 people,
right.
this classroom teacher is still expected to go in
Yeah,
and do
those are your
staff?
kids, that's your test, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I'm not talking specifically about the PAT, I'm talking
No,
more
no,
about,
yeah.
yeah. I would say that
Well,
as long as
okay,
it's
so-
your class and your kids, your exam, you need to be the commander-in-chief of it. This is where I used to get you to do all my legwork for me, Ben.
Yeah,
We should be supervising our.
We should be
own.
supervising our own,
If-
because,
Right.
because
Smart with the schedule.
the other people that are in there, maybe just added as more faces or more eyes in the room, they're not gonna be able to answer any questions the
And
kids
down
will
the
have.
road, I don't know, doesn't it make sense to like do my multiple choice section in my classroom with my kids?
Again, if you had a unique exam. But because we don't have unique exams for every section, I
Oh, when we
can't,
say, hey, whatever date is 10-2 final exam.
Everybody would have to do it.
Everyone does.
we'd all have to do it at 9 a.m.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the reason why they have it in the gym is so that we have an economy of scale, so we have more supervisors. So let's say that you are alone with your kids and something happens and you have to leave with the kid, then the other 28 kids now have no supervisors. So that's why they're centralized. We're getting off topic here a little bit. So the message is, there's an exam in place, it's a secured exam, it's your job as a classroom teacher to make sure that it is on those desks waiting for the kids, get Scantrons out. Monica likes to write the names of the kids on the Scantrons so that it's easier to take attendance, because then she can just walk by and say, oh, Joey hasn't sat at Joey's chair, so Joey's not here. But we do need to take attendance so that we can call home, because chances are there's going to be somebody not there. That's our due diligence that we're expected to do. Other than that, once the exams are done, they need to be collected. The exams that students have wrote in, we can destroy. We don't need to go and try to erase everything. That's kind of wasteful. We do have colored like source booklets. It'd be nice if there's just a few little marks in there to try to clean those up. But the non-colored like question booklets, those are easily reproduced, right, at a low cost. Other than that, how quickly do you need to put your marks into your grade book? Don't put them in within 20 minutes, because not every other teacher is going to be able to replicate that, and it kind of makes your colleagues look bad, right? So, maybe go for lunch, then push them through the Scantron machine, and then start putting them in. And you can even delay how quickly the feedback gets to the kids. I'm just trying to think in my head before I get to your question, Ben, if there's anything else about Part B.
Do you want the source, do you want us to photocopy and colored paper then?
I put my hand up to ask that same question, but you know what?
Yeah.
Good job, Jess.
Yeah, honestly, depending upon which exam, there's probably enough already there.
Okay.
But if there isn't, then you can always tell me, because if you don't know the code, 9002, to do the color photocopying, then I can do it. But the reality is, you don't have to prep this semester, do you?
No.
But aside from Bailey, everybody else has, you could make the argument, equal or more prep time than I do.
Right now,
Yeah,
I have a full semester.
yeah. Really?
I have no prep.
That's horrible. You had to prep last quarter?
No, my prep.
I only get every second day.
Yeah, so that's equal to me, because I could make the argument every second day I'm doing DH stuff.
I just won't listen to your.
Yeah, I know. But the reality is, I'm not you guys' printer. That
No,
But
that's
you
no
used to be.
problem.
I used to be, but then it became the point that it was a month. Yeah.
You don't take me for dinner anymore. You
Yeah.
don't bring-
There's just no money for that.
exams anymore.
Any questions about Part B?
Off topic again.
Again, this is the number one complaint that admin would have if something goes wrong with our Part B. If exams are left in the
You might want to look at the exams.
in the gym, and yeah, that's a good point. That today, if you haven't looked at the final exams, look at the final exam. I don't want to hear somebody in January saying, "Oh, I didn't know, mercantilism was going to be on the 10 test." Well, that's on you. If all your kids fail a question on mercantilism because you didn't know it was on the test, that's the fault of the teacher.
Remind me, there are 2 questions on that exam we got to change.
There you go. So that's the end of the end of the